Well, you've made it through eclipses, Neptune entering Aries, Mars just squared Chiron for the last time, and both Venus and Mercury in retrograde have gone back into Pisces. So take a deep breath. Notice how you're feeling in your system. It's been a pretty chaotic last few weeks, well, last 5 years of astrology. And how are you feeling the changes in your own life? What are the themes that have come up for you over this period? We're not through them yet, but you're not a novice to this stuff anymore. You've learned a lot, you're seeing a lot. There's been a lot of downloads that have come in, a lot of mind-blowing aha moments, and probably still some unknowns. Let's talk about it. I'm Nafa Perkins of Electra Astrology. We are here on the path ahead. This is my weekly astrology forecast. We're going to talk about all of the astrology in the week. I'm going to share it with you through the lens of astrology, psychology, and spirituality, asking you questions that will help you to self-inquire and help you understand what's happening for you. We all have a really unique experience as we're going through all of this collective shift and change. And it's bringing up really personal pieces in all of our lives that are different than what is happening for other people. But there's this general sense of knowing that things are changing. Our past is our past. And although we know what's happened in the past, it's time to begin relating to our past in a different way than we used to. And the future is ahead of us. We have no idea really what's coming, but ideally we're planning to relate to the things in the future in a new, more grounded, more aware, and more attuned way. And I'm going to help you understand what that means. I do have a new class called Wired for Emotion, the astrology of your stress response. It starts in 2 weeks. It's a beautiful class. We're going to be comparing and contrasting the elements, fire, earth, air, water, and the signs that go along with those elements, and the stress responses of fight, flight, freeze, or fawn/fix. So it's going to be a great class. You can check that out. The link is in the box below. It's very affordable, and I do have a new workbook of the same name, Wired for Emotions, and those that sign up for the class are going to get a first edition hard copy of that workbook. It's just designed to help you understand these things about yourself a little bit better, because there's so much more than we were taught. When we're in contact with our inner world, everything looks different. There's less anxiety, there's less paranoia, there's a stronger connection to the present moment and to your higher power. So let's do this work together and let's look at the charts for the week. So we're going to start off just by looking at this North Node. The eclipses are eclipses because they talk about full moons and new moons that take place within 18 degrees of the nodes. The nodes point to evolution, to a sense of fate and destiny. They tell us where we have come from, what our comfort zone is, and what is no longer really of service to us. And they show us where we have to do the work, where we need to forge ahead, push for growth. And so we've had some really strong energy that's been connected to the North Node as we've moved through eclipse season. And the build up to this last new moon in Aries that was on the 29th, both the sun and the moon had to cross over the North Node. We've also seen Venus and Mercury cross over the North Node on their way into Aries, and then they both turned retrograde, and now they're making their way back to the North Node. So we're going to talk about that. We're also watching Saturn about to hit this North Node. So a little bit about the nodes, because this is so important since we've been working with this energy and it's not going away. So a North Node in Pisces is here to teach us collectively. And you may have a North Node in Pisces in your chart. And if you do, then this also applies to you and your personal mission and purpose on the planet. But when the nodes in the sky are in a sign, that becomes our collective work. So this North Node in Pisces is centered around us learning about intuition, surrender, trust, and spiritual growth. By the way, I've been talking a lot about this Pisces archetype all through Pisces season. You can look at Awakening with Astrology. Those are on YouTube, going into so much Pisces energy. I also did a standalone episode on both the podcast Star Narratives and on YouTube on the nodes, because the nodes just changed signs a few months ago into North Node Pisces, South Node Virgo. So there's a lot of information that if you're listening to this and you're hungry for more, you can find there are more teachings on this. So what we are letting go of with this South Node in Virgo is perfectionism, trying to figure out things using logic, trying to control other people through judgment and criticism. We're letting go of the need for approval, both trying to get approval from other people and giving our approval to other people. And we're moving into a more heart-centered flow of energy. This is hard work. And it has been really quite the boot camp, quite the advanced placement class that we've all been in over the last few months, because what you can see if you're watching this on YouTube is that there's this whole like traffic jam of planets that have been gathered around this North Node, passing back and forth for the last few months and especially over the last few weeks. Now imagine that every time a planet meets with the North Node, it's like they have a business meeting. They get together, they have a conversation. So the North Node is always advising about growth and it's advising against South Node themes. So let's begin on April 1st. We're going to see Venus make its second conjunction with the North Node. It already passed through the North Node once. Then it had to go and turn retrograde, and now it's going to pass it again. And then it will pass it one more time once it goes direct. So Venus meeting with the North Node is an advisor, meeting with the North Node 3 different times. Venus is our relationship to our self-confidence, our self-worth, our physical beauty, our attractiveness, our appeal, what we are attracted to, as well as our money, our pleasure, our sensuality. So Venus is a really big archetype, and it's really important that we have those things, right? We always want more of what Venus brings to us. Oh, by the way, I didn't even mention Venus is our relationships as well, which is massive, right? Money, relationship, physical pleasure, attractiveness, self-worth, like, hello, we all love Venus things and we all want more of them. And most of us experience pretty regularly a sense of lack when it comes to those. Maybe not to all of them, but usually it's pretty easy to access the scarcity of, I wish I had more pleasure, I wish I was more attractive, I wish I had more money, when am I going to find love, etc. So imagine that as Venus in the sky is crossing back and forth over the North Node, and the North Node is talking about evolution. Here's what you have to do to evolve. Oh, you have money issues. Oh, you have relationship issues. Oh, you have self-confidence issues. Here's what you have to do to evolve. You have to let go of perfectionism. You have to stop demanding that everybody agree with you. You have to stop being so crabby and bitchy with yourself. You have to stop approval seeking, and you have to stop expecting everybody to do it right and everybody to please you. And you really have to stop criticizing yourself and criticizing your situation. You're not going to be able to logically solve these problems. That's really hard for us because we think that as long as we can come up with the answer, as long as we can fix whatever the damn problem is, that then we're going to get more of those Venus things and then we're going to be okay. So this is really interesting energy because the North Node says, you're not going to do that stuff anymore. But what you are going to do is you're going to rest into the flow. You're going to rest into this idea that the right people will come to you in the right time, that you will be okay when it comes to money, even if you don't see $1 million in your bank account, that it's not about being beautiful enough, smart enough, popular enough, or wealthy enough. That's not going to solve the problem. It's about tuning into your higher self, tuning into the natural rhythms of how things go, the natural cycles. It's about cultivating patience. It's about cultivating love and kindness and compassion with yourself. Okay, yeah, great. That sounds great. And it's really hard because none of us really want to do that. We want the Virgo answers. We want the Virgo predictability. We want the Virgo logic to solve the problem. So this isn't the easiest work for us. And that's okay. We can do hard things, right? As they say. So what comes next On April 4th, Mercury meets with the North Node. All right, so Mercury is your mind, it's your thoughts, it's how you process information, it's how you determine that something is a fact, something rings true, it's how you communicate with people, it's how you connect with people. Well, what do you think the North Node is going to advise Mercury, your mind? It's going to say, look, you can't logic this one out. There's no coming up with the perfect solution. You're not going to be able to judge yourself or somebody else enough to change things. You're not going to be able to criticize yourself or somebody else enough to change things. And frankly, you're not going to be able to get enough approval. You're not going to be able to prove yourself right using facts. Okay, well, what can I do? Well, can rest into the flow. You can allow the right information to find you at the right time. You can practice trusting, not the facts, not the links that somebody sends you, not the news that you read, but you trust your intuition. You trust how you feel about something and how it lands in your system. You don't connect with people in black and white ways. You connect with them in soft and fluid ways. You drop your expectations that everything is going to be in a perfect little box where everything makes sense and all the answers arrive. Oh, okay. That's hard too. And yet, that's the work. That's what we have to do. We have to chill out, take some deep breaths, and sense into the energy of the field. What is happening to you in this moment? What is expected of you in this moment? What do you need to do to take care of yourself in this moment? And so we're not doing a bunch of going back into the past and hand wringing, oh my God, I wish that had been different. And we're not going into the future and hand wringing, oh my God, it's going to be terrible. What am I supposed to do to solve the problem? This is present moment energy. So the more present that you can be, the more philosophical you can be. Whatever's supposed to happen will happen, right? And I talk to a lot of people who say, I hate that. I hate that saying, if it's meant to be, it'll happen, or whatever's supposed to happen will happen. Well, guess what? That is the wisdom of Pisces. We allow the flow. We understand that we understand nothing. And we let it be like that until a deeper, usually more spiritual understanding arrives, and then it begins to make sense. We're also looking today on April 4th at Mars making this trine at 24 degrees of Cancer to 24 degrees of Saturn in Pisces. You know, these two are having a meeting with one another. Mars doesn't like to be in Cancer. It is at detriment. It's not very powerful. It's very moody. And yet Saturn has some good information. Saturn is about structure and Saturn is advising Mars. So when it comes to the action that you're trying to take, as I've been saying this whole time, every time that we talk about Mars in Cancer, we are saying, don't get emotionally reactive. If you have a strong reaction to something, take some deep breaths, give yourself some time and space to process it, go into your crab shell. Don't act without thinking, but also allow yourself to ride that emotional wave before you make any decisions or you move into action. On April 6th, we are going to have Venus making a trine to Mars. So remember, Mars is doing a little bit better now. Mars is riding the emotional wave before having an emotional reaction. Mars is chilling out. It's finally getting ready to go in the next few weeks into the sign of Leo. So it is relaxed, and Venus comes in to make a trine. It's almost as if the lovers, Venus and Mars, are able to have a really fruitful conversation. So that part of you that's been working so diligently on your self-worth, that has been trying to understand your money situation or some relationship dynamic, is going to have some ease and flow with the part of you that wants to make a decision and that wants to take action. You might find at the end of this week that you finally have enough clarity that you know how to move forward. You know, I'm going to stay with that person, or I need to have that deep conversation with that person, or my money is going to be okay, even if I'm stressed out about it. Now, I want to say one more thing before we end. Mercury is going to go direct on Monday, April 7th. I'm going to talk more about that next week. We also have Venus coming into a conjunction with Saturn on April 7th. So one more thing before we end is that we do have Mercury stationing to go direct on April 7th, which is Monday. So I'm going to talk more about that. But when a planet is stationing, it's slowed way down. And so there's something about the information that comes through. So pay attention this week to Mercury retrograde themes that are becoming more clear, that are going to help you to understand something. Mercury always wants to understand, and Mercury in the sign of Pisces is a difficult energy. It doesn't understand much, but know that there will be some sort of spiritual download, some sort of aha moment that is going to come to you very likely this week. That's going to help tie up like, oh, that's what I was doing during this retrograde period. That's what I was trying to figure out. That's why these themes kept coming to me. And now I have a deeper understanding of what it is. All right, I hope this was helpful, and I will see you all soon.